All right, you ready to go? Well, this is what I've been commenting on since the day after the event. I saw it coming. I'm kind of embarrassed and upset that the FBI would let political correctness keep them from doing their job. But that was the mood, and that seemed to be the driving force in this issue. Too many people were afraid to step on Muslim toes to do the right thing. And unfortunately, it looks like that's exactly what our #1 law enforcement agency in the country did, and it's bad. Well, I was an outcry, but I'm embarrassed for our country. We need to be able to have the American public have the same pride and reliance upon the FBI that I grew up with and that you grew up with. And for them to fail in their mission because the mood of what is being set up here in Washington of political correctness above all other, it's the wrong mood. There are right and wrong things, and you must stand up for the right and attack the wrong. That's the way it ought to operate. Well, the first thing is, let me explain that I have not seen the report, nor was I part of the briefing. There is going to be, and I know that they're going to be, already had some communications about this, some secure hearings held up here. They'll be done behind closed doors to protect national security, to talk to the FBI about this. But I think what's being reported is a pretty clear picture without getting down into the weeds for the details, that people afraid to step on somebody's toes kept quiet. And if there's one theme or history of Major Hassan's entire career, it's been that he has been operating with these kind of attitudes since he was in medical school, and a lot of people knew about it at a lot of levels, both in the Army and in hospitals and in medical school and other places, and all of them basically said, well, it's not my problem, I'm going to ignore it, and we'll let it, because I don't want to, upset him from a Muslim background standpoint. And whether Muslim or any other group, we are worried about offending, if there is wrong, it's our duty to stand up against what is wrong and to report it. And I would expect that from the FBI, from the CIA, from the Texas Rangers, from Highway Patrol, from the local sheriff. And that's just the way it's supposed to be. And it's very discouraging for our nation that the FBI dropped the ball in this deal. Great. That's a great statement, and that's exactly right. Evil will prevail if good men do nothing about it. And if we can't create a culture that says that the worst thing you can do in America is discriminate. You're not discriminating against a class or a race or a culture by saying this individual has issues that need to be addressed. And even if a movement behind him jumps up and screams discrimination, should be immaterial, unless it's real discrimination, which it's not in this case. It is reporting activity that was suspicious enough that we should be fearful for some part of our society. It should have been reported, and to heck with anything to do with political correctness. Yeah, I do get to say, I'm not saying I told you so, although I do, certainly do, and I've been talking about this. I've talked for several hours on the floor of the House in special orders about this issue. It's time for America to wake up. We are the best nation on earth. We should be proud of it. We have the best institutions on earth, and we should not have some political issue limit the kind of work that you're expected to do under the Constitution. They are a law enforcement agency that works under the Justice Department, that is set up by this country to protect its citizens, and they should have done their duty. And that pertains to all those who fail to report Major Hassan's activities. I think the real lesson to be learned in this case is this, that I think that individuals can always make mistakes. I mean, we are not infallible, none of us are. But when you get the feeling, and I clearly have had the feeling since this whole thing started, that there was policy from higher up being passed down that you will not speak out and you will not interfere with someone who might be part of a Muslim movement for fear of offending them. We don't want, and I guess some people thought because they might attack us, and some people thought we might be stepping on the toes of good Muslim people, or maybe both. But that's not the way you organize. You organize and you say, do what's right and do your job. And we will hope we don't offend somebody, but someone who may be associated with someone who's done wrong may in some way be offended, but that's life. And it's the policy that seems to have driven this that should be the most upsetting for America. You bet. You bet. And my bill would have protected the members of the Army and others when they stepped up to the plate and told the truth. And by the way, as we all talk about this, let's remember those people that were killed and wounded at Fort Hood, and that's what this is really all about. So this is important to our nation, and I'm glad the light of day's come upon it. It's good. Thanks. You too.